Apple's Vision Pro started their pre-order sale and was sold out immediately. Still, this product might be problematic. It's Wednesday, January 24th, 2024, and this is episode 95 of Yay Space, the tech review. This is the place where you get the most important news from innovation, technology, and social media. I'm Tarek Madani Mamluk, and virtually by my side is Vincent Irmler. How are you today, Vincent?
I'm really good. I don't have a Vision Pro yet, so I don't know. Disappointed at this point, but let's see if I can. I think Vision Pro is a really difficult thing if you're just doing it by yourself. Not necessarily because there's a lot of stuff. I mean, we're going to go into this in just a second, but I think it's even more fun together. So maybe my mood will change as I try to convince you to order one.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, right now, everything is speculation. But let's take a look at what happened last weekend.
And now, this.
Engadget.com is reporting about the launch of Apple's pre-sale, and this is what you need to know. Apple sold approximately 160,000 to 180,000 Vision Pro headsets during the pre-order weekend. The Vision Pro headset is a niche product, not meant for average consumers, due to its high price and lack of mainstream apps. Initial high sales may be followed by a drop in demand, as the target audience consists of heavy users and hardcore fans. And Apple aims to generate and sustain demand for the Vision Pro before its global launch, rumored to be before the year's WWDC, and is promoting it through demo sessions at flagship stores. And there is even more to the story, but first let's talk about this. I think this is super interesting because the first estimations about how the Vision Pro is going to be sold was about 60,000 or 80,000. Now we are at 160,000 or 180,000. So it sounds like a huge way higher boom that it was anticipated. But Engadget.com still says it's very, very slow, because if you compare these numbers to the pre-orders of iPhones, for example, you saw that the waiting time until you get your device did not go up as it does with the iPhone. So usually when you pre-order an iPhone, you have to wait for months. And here the numbers said something different. And so the question is, if the 180,000 people who already bought the Vision Pro, maybe that's it. Maybe those are the people who are going to buy it, and that's it. No other sales. What do you think?
I think this is very possible. I think, I mean, we read the same article, and I think the article said that usually with an iPhone, usually it's next day delivery, and then orders are getting in, and it's 24 hours, then it's 48 hours, then it turns up to 36, and then it's around about a week. And for the Vision Pro, it's different. And I am, on the one hand, I'm thinking, this could be it necessarily, probably. However, I think when we look at this very weird launch that Apple did with the Vision Pro, with only a few people trying it, no imagery of people wearing it. I don't know your X feed, but my X feed last week was filled with a bunch of people wearing the Vision Pro, and everybody's saying something like the first time anyone can take a picture wearing the Vision Pro, and then also the gossip about this new head strap came out and that you can try both, and I think both of them will be shipped in a box, or you can select before, something like that. I don't know, but so I think that looking at that launch, I feel like Apple knew what they were getting into. I think that those devices are sold out, and they sold around about 150 to 200% of what the initial estimations were for how many would be sold when it went live. I think are strong. And don't forget, like looking at the iPad, or looking at, I don't know, also other products that are not Apple, but I look at, I don't know, electric vehicles. Look at Tesla. I think with more on the street, or in that case more in your face, quite literally, I think that the demand will go up. Also, what I think is, at WWDC, Apple last year announced the Apple Vision Pro, or it was right after or something like that, but it was in summer. And then I think now WWDC is not that far away. I mean, when it's getting out, it's 5 months away. I think it's 5 months with Vision Pro. And then I think at WWDC, I think Apple will come out and bring the real deal. And I think one of the articles we shared was two grand, something like that, is going to be the real new device, the non-Pro Vision, just the Vision device. And I think, therefore, answering with a very long answer, I think that Apple is on track for what they knew what they were getting into.
Yeah. I mean, the one problem is the high price point with $3,500 before taxes. So you really have to be sure that you want to have that and you need to have the cash to actually buy it. The other problem that Apple is having is something that I read on Bloomberg.com. So there was an article where they analyzed the very difficult relationship that Apple has with third-party developers, and this was also the case on the Apple Watch, for example, where it is not really popular for third-party developers to actually go into this market and build an app because there are a lot of restrictions, and it's really, really hard to get the app then to perform well. And the same thing happens now with the Apple the Vision Pro. So, for example, there are the usual very popular apps like Netflix and YouTube and Spotify, where the third-party developers already said, no, we are not going to build native apps for this new platform. On the one hand, because it's obviously a new platform where you have new ways of interacting with the user. So there's a lot of effort needed, and it's very expensive to build this app for this field. And the other point is, if nobody's going to, and this is the claim, if nobody's going to buy this new device, or only a handful of people, it's not worth it building native apps for that. And that's why TheVerge.com is speculating that Safari is going to be the most valuable app on the Vision Pro, because most of the things that you want to do, for example, play Spotify stuff or play YouTube videos, you are going to have to do in Safari as like a web app. And this is weird. This is something that I did not expect, because usually you open up this device, or you expect to open up this device and have these native, perfectly integrated experiences in there in a neat menu, and you just jump into whatever, Netflix, and then chill on your couch in this virtual reality environment.
Yeah, but then again, I could also see Apple doing something like the Vision Pro, as you know, when new gaming consoles are getting out, right? Like, so take the, I don't know, Series X or PS5, whatever. Okay, and then you have those dev kits that they're sending out. So like huge game developers, Activision or Bethesda, can, adapt their stuff because they know there is a new Fallout coming out. I don't know, a new Elder Scrolls or whatever. And what I can see, what I'm thinking is Apple did so few of a hype around Vision Pro that even though they're relying heavily on developers to actually make the product attractive, also because it's a very hard niche to be in, spatial computing is just really difficult, apparently. What I'm thinking is that maybe the Vision Pro is more like a dev kit. I think the Vision Pro is more like, we're attracting right now the heavy users, as we discussed a few, or actually many times in this podcast. We're attracting developers, advertising this tool heavily for people who are making apps, who are making services, and then we're going to make the threshold as easy as possible to navigate. Like, I think one of the articles said that it's easy to migrate an iPad OS app to Vision OS. And yeah. I can see that. I can totally see that. So I'm thinking, what do you want to say? Sorry.
Yeah, I think this is exactly the problem, because this was also my expectation when I heard the announcement of the $3,500 device, that this is going to be the dev kit for the developers to actually start building their stuff, so that when the real consumer version, let's call it Apple Vision Pro 2 or something like that, comes out, it will be filled with so many experiences and apps But I do not see this happening right now. If it is true what The Verge and Bloomberg are writing, then there won't be this big drive of developers running into this device, because obviously they are not believing that this is not going to be the next big thing. And maybe this is like a chicken and egg problem, but usually Apple doesn't have that, because the moment Apple releases a new device, everyone jumps onto it and believes that this is the next big thing.
I don't know if that is true. I would argue that iPad launched with just a few iPad maxed out apps. When Watch came out, you didn't have that many apps. Even with AirPods, there is not that many apps doing 3D audio. I'm thinking that Apple is very used to delivering products that are that great, like as great as it gets, so that developers have no other choice but go in there. And I think the problems that they're facing currently with big developing studios and big products that probably are hesitating to come on the platform, stuff like the rev share they have to pay for subscriptions that are done via Apple ID, for example. These kind of things are facing everywhere. And I think eventually we'll need to find a policy, number one, but they will find a policy for everything. And then number two, I think just knowing the Quest headsets, and Microsoft's one, what I'm thinking is that Apple Vision Pro, without having tried it, but it sounds like everyone who tried it sounds like it's going to be that great and that of a game changer. Beside its weight seems to be extremely heavy and horrible, but beyond that, it sounds like the product that Apple's about to release in a few days from now is that great that customers will eventually get it, and then big studios have no other way but following them. Obviously, it can make it extremely difficult. It can make it extremely rough. I'm thinking that Netflix, if they really don't want to sell subscriptions via the app, they're just not going to do that, which obviously will hurt Apple's revenue as well. So I think it will level itself out. But I'm thinking, since Apple has a few major publications on there, like Disney Plus, or their own service, Apple TV Plus, I think they will lead the way and show how great this can be. And then there's no other way for you to land a follow, because users are going to be there. So same with WhatsApp. WhatsApp, whatever. Yeah, that's what I want to say. I have a few examples, however.
You just mentioned one thing that is super interesting. You called this device a spatial computing device, or spatial computing apps. And before that, I said VR device. And according to uploadvr.com, there is actually a very strict policy in naming this stuff. And regarding this policy, I did it wrong. I call it VR. Apple strictly forbids their developers and everyone who's associated with this device to call it VR. It's not allowed to be called VR. It's not allowed to be called AR. It's not allowed to be called mixed reality, MR, or XR, extended reality. Everything is obsolete. It's not Vision Pro. Vision Pro is a spatial computing device. And I personally celebrate this, because spatial computing, this term is not invented by Apple. I think I told the story multiple times. In 2019, there was the Magic Leap, and the Magic Leap was this thing, and they started saying, we are not a VR device or AR device, we are doing spatial computing. And then they did not really conquered the market as they intended to do. And then came Meta, and Meta said, yeah, we are now called like Meta, and we are the metaverse, and we are doing spatial computing. And they reinvented this word and claimed that, yeah, the stuff that they are doing now, this is spatial computing. And even though those devices, they are kind of popular and kind of like the thing on the market, but still, even the Quest devices and the metaverse, they did not really conquer the market. They are there, you can play with it, and you have some games and apps, and it's nice, but it's not as we expected 7 years ago, that we are not watching movies on the couch anymore. So there was always this vision, yeah, and in the future we are going to read the news in like the room with spatial computing and everything will be spatial computing. And now Apple comes with their device, they invent spatial computing and they have the next big thing. And so, of course, Apple is a trendsetter. And we always said Apple is going to set the birthmark of when VR or spatial computing will take off, because that's what they are doing. But when I see this rough start of the Vision Pro, I'm really let's say carefully curious or skeptical if this is actually the point where spatial computing is going to be birthed and we are going to start using this virtual reality in quotation marks as it is supposed to be, or as we expected it to be 7 years ago.
But I mean, I can't get over the fact that you're saying a rough start. I don't think this has a rough start. This is a product that in its base configuration starts at $4,000, including taxation. And therefore, I'm thinking doubling the orders, they were exceeding by a factor of 1 the expected orders that were coming in. I think is not a rough start. Again, I think this is a developer kit. But I also like the fact that it's called spatial computing, because it always bugged me to call something VR or AR. And specifically, I mean, when you look at the Quest 3 or the Quest Pro, even though this wasn't a thing for long, those devices are VR, right? Like, so Meta is defining their devices as VR, but they have pass-through. And I mean, not that good pass-through, but Quest 3 has a quite decent one because it came out after Apple Vision Pro was announced. And therefore, this is dancing on the line with AR and VR. What specifically is it? And in the end, it is a computer. Yeah, it depends a bit on the vision. I'm buying in on that vision of Apple's, that this is the next computer. So like the next PC is going to be the spatial computer. And therefore, I like spatial computing. I think it's a more specific name on what it specifically does. Without, it's like saying PC or Mac, and kind of both are a computer, but they're different. They try to differentiate themselves, and I find that very interesting. So spatial computing,
yeah,
good term.
Still, what was it? We talked about the last time, this orange device, the Rabbit, right? And there
R1.
The Rabbit R1, and someone referred to it as the iPhone moment, right? And right now I'm thinking about the so-called iPhone moment that we had in 2007, where a new era was born, the era of the smartphone. And since then, everything changed. And and this is what I was hoping to see with the launch of the Vision Pro since the invention of virtual reality, is this iPhone moment for VR or for spatial computing. And so my expectation, or this was what I was dreaming of, was that this device from Apple is lighter and smaller and cheaper and has like all of the apps like the iPhone, so that basically you can throw away your iPhone, because this is the iPhone moment for spatial computing. You use your Apple glasses, you have all your apps natively on there. You don't need this brick in your pocket anymore. And this was the moment where everyone is going to buy this and use this, and nobody's going to have an iPhone anymore, or like a smartphone anymore. And of course, this is now dreaming. Yes, this has nothing to do with the reality, and we still have to wait for that. But this is where I was always thinking Apple is going to wait with their start into this market of spatial computing until they are there. When they are launching something, it will be so perfect, because everything that Apple is launching is kind of perfect, that we don't have to worry about if this is going to take on. And this is why I'm skeptical, because all of these news articles that I'm reading right now, no question, this device will be super impressive. But the big thing that Apple is usually doing is this broad market penetration, this adoption from the broad audience that immediately turns the market into their favor. And this is what they usually do with when they launch tablets, when they launched smartwatches and the iPhone. And I am not sure if this is going to happen with the spatial computing device.
Yeah, but then, I mean, remember the iPhone? It came out in 2007. It cost $720 back then, which would now be $1,000. So iPhone kind of stayed at the same price range.
Yeah.
And that was a lot because most of the phones, Nokia phones, what else was there? Motorola,
Yeah, right.
LG, all
Sony,
these Siemens, Sony, all these kind of brands, right? All of them made phones that were just a few $100.
Yeah.
So by then, this was exceeding the price range of a regular phone or what someone was willing to spend by at least double. So now, if I'm buying a really good headset, I'm willing to pay round about €1,000. I think the Quest starts at 600, and then I would say I need apps and stuff. So let's be generous and say 1,000. When Apple comes out this summer with a €2,000 headset, dollar headset, whatever, all right, spatial computing device, and it does all the things that you love and all the things that you do every day if you have an iPhone, which I think a lot of people do. I say they are just doing it all over again, and it worked out. iPad as well, Apple Watch as well. Now we all have one. I think it's. I want to believe. I want to believe in that. They really are sure in what they're doing. I want to believe that.
Yeah. And then there's this one thing that we are not talking yet about. And this is something that
Apple car. Sorry.
No. I mean, I was always a VR enthusiast, and every time I try to explain to someone that VR is a technology that will be super important in the future, there was always this argument that no matter how awesome this technology is, it will always be a burden to put on something onto your face to do something. And innovation only works if it gives you more than it takes away. And so the big question for the future, and I can't answer this right now, is even if this headset will be amazing, even if you only have to pay $500 for it and all of the native apps are on there, do you want to wear this thing if you want to watch a Netflix movie? Because maybe you want to watch the next Netflix movie on the side and use a second screen, and it's easier to do this on the TV. Or if you want to use it during a conference call, maybe it is easier to have the conference call simply on your monitor. Maybe you don't want to have this thing on your face. And I personally, as an enthusiast, I would probably use the VR device. But in the past, we tried to use this for conference calls, for example. We had the Pico VR device. We had virtual meeting rooms. And we had, during COVID, we had all of these high-tech toys. And usually the people, they said, yeah, no, let's just meet in Teams because it's just one click away. I don't want to boot up the device and open the app and put it onto my face, and it's sweaty and it's hot outside, and I want to wash dishes during the conference call or something, so I just want to have it like on my phone next to me and something. And this is the big question that I still can't answer, even if the device is perfect, if people want to use this, or like the broad audience, if they really want to use something like this.
But I think that the data set you're using to compare this is just really unfair because you're comparing MacBooks with silicon chips and Surface devices that are as thin as a book and have an extremely delicate touchscreen. Peak technology with something that has just been launched. What you have to compare the Vision Pro to is a compact mobile computer from the 80s. That's what you have to compare it to, because this is the first idea of a mobile computer. So actually, if you compare, this is like, yeah, exactly like that. You have to take the first version of a completely new category, like the compact mobile one, and compare it to what the Vision Pro is. and also, funnily enough, look back how much a computer did cost in the 80s, a mobile computer even. It was a few $1,000. And putting this through inflation, I think you're around about the price of a Vision Pro. So I think what you're comparing it to is really unfair. However, I do see your point of us having both technologies at our hand currently. So we can still say, all right, we're going to do that because it's just more convenient. However, then there's this question, I think we discussed it once in RSL. There's a really good video out there. I can share it with you later, from MKHB. MKHB is not the MKBHD.
BHD.
Marcus Brown. And he answers the question. It's really embarrassing. I watch his videos all the time. Anyways, he answers the question of why do spatial computing devices are that big, but they can do a lot, and then you have small devices. I think the video came around about the time when this Meta Ray-Bans came out, and then you have those devices, and they can't do a lot, but they look like this. And so, in the end, the question is, will they move more near to each other? Will they dominate, or will they just blend into each other? I believe they will blend into each other. So I think that they will blend in as long until they're convenient. Because, what we definitely can see is that there is revenue potential. And as long as there's revenue potential, I know that companies will innovate there in that space.
Yeah. And it's probably also going to be a generational thing, because there will be people who simply do not want to adapt to this new user interface. They want to stay with their phone, exactly as even today we have people who do not want to work with their phone. They want to work with their PC because they are used to it, right? But let's not talk about them. Let's talk about the mass market and if Apple is going to be able to penetrate this. All right. Super interesting. And very soon we will be able to talk more about that when actual people at home
when
will
Tarek has one.
Fun fact, I did not pre-order, but yes, as soon as people are actually having their devices at home and start sending out content and actual reviews from real users, we will know more.
Soon we will know when the launch in the next editions, in the next markets of the Vision Pro is. So I think currently it's US only, and then after it's going to be UK and a bunch of other countries. And right now I would also be willing to fly to the United States just to test it out in the store. But maybe Apple will give us a bit of a better insight in when this is coming to Europe. But wherever it's coming back next to Europe, you'll find me there. I'll definitely check it out.
But this is something that always feels like we are living in a developing country or something. If you, dear listener, if you don't know that, we are sitting here in Germany. And back then, if I am allowed to refer it again, in 2019, when I started developing software for the Magic Leap, I flew to California to the developer conference, bought this device there because it was not available in Germany, and I actually bought a new suitcase where this device was fitting in, and brought it back to Germany, where it took I think another 2 years or 1 year or something until it was available on the market in Germany. Yeah, so this is what we here in Germany have to do to get our hands on these brand new devices. So maybe Vincent and I will do a road trip to California.
Air trip.
An air trip.
Yeah.
And grab one of those. All right.
I'd be down.
Thanks for listening to Yay Space. That's it for today. If this was valuable for you, you should subscribe to us so that you never miss an episode. And until next time, stay awesome.